Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's get to this mail. Hey Perch, longtime fan of the channel here. I've got some hard hitting questions for you. All right, let's see what aspect of the culture war we're talking about today. Oh no culture war questions. Huh. Says who is your favorite X-Man and why? Well, that's a sexist question. You could have said X-person because I mean there are. Anyway, okay, this is gonna sound like a hedge, but it's not. Depending on the era and kind of the arc, I've had definitely different favorite characters in the series. There was a time when Kitty Pryde was I like that character. What's funny is I always liked Wolverine as a character. He was never the favorite character. When they did a lot of this is outside of kind of X-Men proper, but in X Factor, I think what Louis Simonson did with Angel becoming Archangel and all the rest became definitely I was a fan of that character during that time. I think there are many different eras where Cyclops is pretty interesting. I don't think you were supposed to have this takeaway from it, but when Grant Morrison did the his run, I think Cyclops was probably the character I liked best. The struggle that kind of he went through and everything else. So there's a certain aspect of it that was fun, leading to kind of culminating with the world and kind of what happened there. I think that it's varied, by era. And Nightcrawler for sure was a favorite character at various stages. It's probably why I like Cy Spurrier's current Uncanny Spider-Man book. And to me, that book is a little bit of a litmus test of, are you a true fan? Well, you've heard the fake geek girl, where there's the fake geek critic, for sure. And the uncanny. First of all, the name is dumb. But the idea of he's dressing up like Spider-Man and his buddy Spider-Man's helping him out, that weirdly works. And it works because it is, Nightcrawler, if he was going to be friends with another character, Spider-Man would make sense. They both have the kind of happy-go-lucky kind of aspect to their personality. Nightcrawler kind of battling with responsibility of this role and kind of what he's doing in this post-Krakoa era and all the rest. It's a good book. It's got subplots, just like Claremont did. It feels the part that blows me away, and I put it in a community post at one point, is Jonathan Hickman for House of X Powers of 10 set up the kind of techno-organic virus and kind of this future, Phalanx, kind of that entire Dominion kind of dark future the mutants would be facing, and the titles really haven't done much with that. Even in the fights with Orcus, it feels a lot more like a AIM or a Hydra, kind of a wahaha, we're going to do evil things. The Gary Duggan's the Fei Long character. It just, I don't know. It big aspects of that just don't work. But Spurrier is reminding people that exists. He's brought back, the Hounds and kind of this. He's made it more threatening, and it's pretty impressive. But anyway, Nightcrawler definitely a favorite character, and I like the balance of when he is, he's kind of, I would say, wrestling with his faith, but not really. He's has faith, and I like the way for big portions of his life they committed to that. And then also simultaneously, he's a ladies' man. He wants to be a swashbuckler. He loves kind of pirate movies and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's just that duality of his personality I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, favorite time. So to the audience, who's your favorite X-Man or X-Woman or person? I liked Rachel Summers as well quite a bit back in the day, back in the late 80s, early 90s. I liked what they were doing with that character. I did always like Storm. Again, favorite character? Probably not. There's always some other character, like when she's in the title with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's getting the nod there, but all right. Next question. Which direction would you like to see the X-Office take the X-Men? I'd like to see it be dangerous again. I like all the padding and luxury of Krakoa and kind of the island and resurrection. You can't die. I'd like that to get stripped away, as much as it is an entire and total cheat. And just you always hate endings like this. They need to just bring Moira up, shoot her, restart the timeline, forget all this has ever happened. Professor X can kind of walk out of the shower. And that's where it needs to go. The damage that's been done to this line, as well as Marvel Universe as a whole. I mean, like death, like you saw with Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. There's no need for death anywhere. It just doesn't matter. You don't need it. and that's it's bad for the comics. So they need to get away from that. They need to make it more dangerous. I think the X-Men, when they were, you know, you had the world fears and hates them, but it was, they didn't have unlimited resources at hand. When you had the Professor X goes away, Magneto's in the mansion, the mutant massacre occurs. They're very much kind of underground. All of those comics were the X-Men at their best, or having to kind of fight a little bit from the shadows, still be heroic, still have some pretty kind of crazy adventures. I always liked, the X-Men definitely did cosmic, but I liked the X-Men as an interesting bridge between street level and kind of the glitzy Avengers, Fantastic Four level of superhero books. I think having that kind of underground feel was pretty good, pretty powerful. And I think when you set the mutants up too much as, proud of their own race, if you will, their own kind of genetic, and you make them kind of isolationists. I think that's hard opposite direction. So I would do entirely the opposite. I would lean more into, the mutants are like us. They are just humans. They just have one extra little bit of power that could be random and go off and cause, incredible chaos. And so people would, fear them in that sense. And we walk back a little bit of, I mean, Claremont would lean into the, the race allegory, and some of these analogies he would, but it wasn't overbearing. He still liked to play up the, at any time there could be a mutant whose power, goes out of control, hurts people, and then kind of fear and hatred take over. And this is the world that they live in. And that was a good dynamic. It was more about these are people. These are people like everybody else. And it wasn't constantly this we're a different race, so we have to be treated differently. And it didn't, it's interesting because you read columns and other things, people will give you the impression it's the opposite. But if you actually go back and read the 150 plus issues of Claremont, and you really look into kind of what he was putting out, and then some of the comics that followed after, there was he correctly balanced these dynamics. And I think that's, I don't know. It feels like we've lost a little bit in that process, but not lost a little bit. We lost everything in that process. Anyway, next question. Is there a character you'd like to see their background explored more? Yeah, I mean, lots of them. I think that, I mean, the nice part about the X-Men, I mean, the cast has grown way too large, but you have tons and tons of characters to explore and to go into, and even characters that have been around for a long time, like Cannonball and Sunspot. You could do more with, Sunspot than just, hey, he's rich and kind of douchey and has his science-y. And I think that, Hickman wound up writing him kind of one note. And I think that did kind of him a disservice, because writers who are then less capable than Hickman, just go for kind of cheap gags and other pieces. I think that a lot of the New Mutants, those characters for the original cast, have plenty of room to explore. I think that, you got Gambit and Rogue as a couple, but even with their title they had together, they haven't really, explored more of those backgrounds. And I think there's still things to do there. I think there's newer mutants you can go into. Overall, I think there's lots of potential. That's the kind of the great thing about, this title, and there's a ton of material you can get into, and still hold true to the character. So I mean, lots. Is a short answer, I guess. It's hard to pick just one. And then finally, last question: why hasn't there been an Uncanny X-Men title in years? Well, that's when Hickman came in and did his bid, the House of X Powers of 10, he expressly said, we're not going to have Uncanny X-Men, we're going to be X-Men. And then there was somebody started a rumor that it was going to be called X-People, and, that obviously wasn't true. It didn't happen. But it is the Uncanny X-Men. I know that there were some editors, and I think Jordan White had this opinion as well, was that title, Uncanny, was a little dated, and it might hold people back because it just sounded old. And I know they walked away from some of it. My suspicion is they're going to walk back. I mean, they're going to get back to it. At least the early parts, what I've heard from from what Brevoort has planned sound not great. I'll put it that way from my perspective. But we'll see how it all plays out. But I think the legacy of these titles is important, and I think it's a good thing. And I think lean into it. If the current nostalgia and some of the stuff we're seeing is any indication, leaning into it can be a good choice. And I think the more of that, the better. Anyway, there's my thoughts. Now, all of you, same questions. Favorite X-Men? Who would you like to see them delve into more? And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Nice positive chat about comics, and let's get into a different comic next time. We can go into the Teen Titans, the Legion of Superheroes, whatever you'd like. Thanks for listening.